Hey, and welcome to the Happy PharmD podcast. I'm its founder and coach, Alex Barker. Welcome. In this episode, we're going to be joined by Phoebe, who was one of our coach clients, and she shares her journey going from burned out in retail to mail order and bliss, making $10 or more per hour with absolutely no problems ever. Okay, it's not that picture perfect, but it's a great episode because Phoebe shares really where she kind of came from, how retail treated her, and about how she moved from that to quitting her job and to getting more in line with what she wanted from both her work and her life, and how working with a coach helped her identify what that looked like and leading her ultimately to this job that she has in mail order pharmacy. So, with that, let's jump into it. Well, catch me up first of all. Like, how's life?
It's good. So I started the part-time like the week before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it was interesting because it was like essentially like a speed run. I applied, I heard back from them, and then they wanted to do an interview in like about like a week. So I went, it's a mail order pharmacy, it's closed door. Um it's nice. They just moved closer to where I live from where they were before.
Mm.
Or so commute, I have like the shortest commute out of the three of us who work there, which is very nice. Nice. It's 10 to 6.
Nice.
6. Hourly I get paid way better than I did in retail.
Like
Oh,
percentage points better, or
like
what?
$10 more per hour.
Ooh, that's
But I
20,000 more.
but I'm part-time, so it evens out. It covers like all of it takes a huge load off my shoulders because all of my major expenses that I'm expecting to have to
Mm.
pay for will be covered even if I stay on part-time hours. And then since it's two pharmacists and one technician right now, they're it's I think overall for the company it's like a work in progress. They're not sure how they want to utilize the satellite location yet because
Mm.
the main company, the main flagship is in California.
Got it.
So we do a lot of the specialty stuff. It's interesting. It's definitely a different area of pharmacy than I was working with in retail. Closed doors, so no one's coming in to complain about how long things take.
You just get to do your job.
Yeah, I get to just do my job. There's a lot of components to the job since we're a very small team naturally, but it works. We're not, so I think they told me upfront they were my boss. So when she interviewed me, said she wasn't sure what things would look like because everything is changing within the company. Because I think someone else or a different company bought them, and then also they moved, and there's all sorts of different things changing. There's like internal changes, so there's I think there's a lot of different projects getting like moved around.
Mm.
And so it's like a mix of mass dispensing, so across almost all 50 states. I think there's like 3 states that we don't dispense to, who because well, one California since that's where the flagship is, and then there's two that I think my PIC hasn't gotten fully licensed in yet. So other than that, dispense everywhere, including Alaska and Hawaii.
Wow. Is it like a specialty kind of drug, or is it just any normal?
So our main well, the thing I dispense the most is probably epinephrine. Just EpiPens everywhere. But there's
Hmm.
also a lot of injectables. So a lot, I think like the Humira for Hep C, and then a lot of psoriasis medications, migraine medications. Yeah,
Nice.
not too many of like the day-to-day chronic meds, but
Okay.
I
And it
think
sounds like it's just like typical mainly dispensing role?
it's mainly dispensing. I think I guess there's like a lot of stuff like behind the scenes, like coordinating like fills and we do a lot of things through third parties or like we have someone else who coordinates the patients and the billing and then we just do the filling part, but then we have to coordinate with them about when something is getting to the patient or how much the patient actually owes because their system doesn't show like necessarily an accurate representation of what the end price will be. So obviously nothing gets sent out until it's paid for.
Mm,
A lot of prior authorizations. We have a team for that, but I think I think it's Horizon. NJ Horizon specifically only wants pharmacists to be doing their prior auths. So those we do personally, and that's just I mean, I get to do it through Cover My Med most of the time, and it's just filling out all the paperwork and sending to the doctor and making sure everything goes through. It's a lot less complicated than it would have been in retail where I'm just like waiting to hear back from people. And I'm
mm,
just like I can just have like fill all of it out, print it out, send it to the doctor, and then follow, and then we'll go from there. And we have everything is like recorded, documented. It's just like, well, we sent it to them. If they didn't get it, we can send it again. But this says we sent it.
okay. Well, why don't you start us at the beginning? So, before you started working with us at the Happy PharmD, like, what was going on with career stuff?
So I think before I started, I was working full time in retail and was, I guess, for my specific situation, because not everyone has the same experience, there were a lot of things adding
Mm,
up that were like leading to a lot more stress than when I first started my retail position, and there were like changes in the environment and in how things were being handled that led to like a feeling of like burnout and being like stressed all the time, feeling like I wasn't appreciated. And I eventually hit like my breaking point. And I was just like, well, I wanted to wait until I found something better or I found something like more stable before I left, but like I this is the point at which I cannot continue because if I continue there will be I guess definitely there'll be like negative outcomes like I'll be putting myself at
yeah.
risk. So I decided that I was just going to like I would resign and I didn't really have a plan after that. But I knew that I would have options. And as a pharmacist, I had money saved up, so I had some breathing room. And then I think by chance I saw one of I guess seminars or like videos on LinkedIn, and I liked the title because your title was breaking up with retail, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I just did that. Uh, and I think that was kind of the thing that I was like, okay, like this is, I think that was very encouraging for me because you were very supportive of the idea that because of our training and our background, we can do more than retail. But that doesn't mean that retail in and of itself is not a good profession. It's just even if you quote unquote only have retail experience, you can still do a lot more than you think you can.
Mm,
And I think that's when I started thinking about, okay, well, what what do I want to do? Where would I want to go? And I was like, well, there are a lot of options and I could take the time to figure all of it out myself, do it myself, but I think it would be much more efficient to have someone who is professionally trained, who has experience in what I'm trying to do to guide me through the process.
Mm,
So I think one of the first things when I decided that, oh, okay, I'll make that call and, find out what I would be signing myself up for her. I think one of the first concerns was just like, okay, what are you expecting from a coach? And I was like, well, I mean, I don't need someone to do it for me. I just need someone to kind of like show me how to do it, like to kind of like lead me through it because I haven't gone through this before. And sure, I could do it myself, but it'll take so much longer and I wouldn't be able to, having someone who to ask for advice or who has experience in what I'm trying to do, it makes more sense to me. Of course, these are things you could figure out on your own, but it's going to be like that cost benefit ratio is, and time is money. So having Morgan support her and have being able to like reach out to her and just ask her questions and have her like kind of fend off some of my insecurities during our meetings was really nice. I really appreciated her during that session or during all of the sessions. And um so right now it's I'm still a dispensing pharmacist. I'm not like
still, as if
yeah.
that's a bad thing.
I wasn't planning to still be a dispensing pharmacist.
Mm,
But because am still interested in medical writing, but I think having Happy PharmD, having the different amenities available to me, circle and the like the other groups available to me, having like the mock interview, being able to like I guess like watch some of the content that you put on like
mm,
YouTube or like through Circle now, how it was helpful because just having real life people to talk to and like hearing their experience from different backgrounds and it's not their job to tell like it's not Heather's job to tell me like how I'm doing or that I'm doing well. So like if she thinks I'm doing well and she can give me honest feedback based on her experience, then
mm,
that's very assuring. And so it's like it made networking feel a lot less intimidating. I think that was one of my biggest benefits is like just being able to do like that cold call to reach out and like not think too much about it. Um, I think I did a lot of things because of coaching that I wouldn't have otherwise, like going to the MWA conference
mm.
and and things like that. It was just like, like this is an opportunity and why not reach for it?
What would you say was like a transformation you went through in the coaching process? Like, how are you different now than before?
I think I have a lot more self-assurance as far as looking for a position goes. So
Mm,
now that I've had the guided experience through what it's like to look for a job or like who to talk to, how to connect, I think professionally I'm much more comfortable with that. Non-work related, that's a different story, but like if it has to do with like okay, like jobs, like job related things or like I don't know, professional like networking, reaching out to people, connecting on that level. I think that's much less intimidating than it was, and I think that was something that really like gave me anxiety when I was like in school. It was just like, oh, like networking, like having to talk to people I don't know, like what am I going to talk to them about? How
mm.
like it's so scary to approach new people. Oh, but I
Mhm,
think just having to do it as part of coaching, I think kind of removes some of the fear factor in it. Is
mm. Um, so what led you to mail order pharmacy? Like, how did this all happen?
um I think it was okay. So the funny thing is that I kind of applied for the job on Indeed just as like a one-off. I was like, "Oh, okay, it's pretty convenient. Like they're offering a decent pay, like part-time. Um, so part-time would mean it wouldn't restrict any of my other activities if I wanted to pursue something else."
Mm,
And I was like, "Okay, why not?" I wasn't
yeah.
expecting anything, and then I got like so they reached back out to me and I got an interview. And at first I was thinking that, oh, like she said she would get back to me by this day and I hadn't heard from her. So I was like all prepared to send in like, hey, like I haven't heard from you, like I guess this is a rejection. And then Morgan's like, no, 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 wait longer. And then she like I get like then I get like an offer call and I was just like, oh, this I was like, oh, this is unexpected. Like but it's funny because she said that she chose me partially because I was local, but also partly because of my interest in writing.
Hmm.
Because she thought that it would indicate that I'm more detail oriented and I pay more attention to like the verbiage of like prescription instructions or how things are written, like because there's a lot of notes in order for these teams from different time zones to communicate properly.
Hmm.
So that was and I think that her reasoning was interesting, but I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah. It is interesting because I was privileged to get to know you a little bit through your coaching journey, and medical writing was like the thing for you, the really big focus. Um, and it sounds like that still is something that you are practicing and pursuing. Is that true?
um Yes and no. It's still something I'm definitely interested and I want to do,
Mm,
but like I think having a part-time takes a lot of the pressure off. I'm like getting a little too comfortable in like
sure.
not having to worry about like whether or not I can afford like health insurance and things. But
Yeah, quitting to going part-time can definitely take the pressure off of pursuing interesting work.
yeah.
I can
So
relate.
it's just okay, like and I'm there's definitely a learning curve, especially part-time because like there's I'm only there twice a week. So
Mm,
there's definitely stuff that is happening when I'm not there, and then when I get back, I have to catch up on everything that's happened or might have changed. But it's also nice because it's like, oh, like, the rest of my life is still happening. And that's one of the things about part-time is like, okay, I can have a life outside of work,
yeah.
which when I was doing full-time in retail, that wasn't happening because I would come home and just like potato. Just like lie down and be like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, I feel your pain. But I'm glad that you're no longer experiencing it. You found a
Yes.
new balance that you really like.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little skewed right now. I'm probably having a little bit too much fun, but I still want to make use of the time where I'm not in the office to
Mm,
do writing
sure.
and pursue that.
Mm,
But I get a lot more, I guess, what's it called? Not flexibility. I think I can be like more gentle with myself about how hard I push myself for this because there's much less at stake.
mm. Yeah, that is one of the dangers of, like, being unemployed while looking for a job. Every attempt can feel like, you know, the the world and its security is
Yeah.
in balance, and if you fail to do this, then, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's the end of your
Um,
world."
yeah.
So all said and done, you applied to this job, and then you heard back in, like, a week or 2?
Definitely less than 2 weeks, I
Okay.
think. Or okay, I think I'm actually not sure when I heard back from them after I applied, but once I heard back from them, everything happened in like a week.
Oh, wow.
So I
Very
was
fast.
yeah, so I was like a little surprised, a little suspicious. Yes.
Mm.
But you know,
Smaller companies move faster than big behemoths. Not always, but
not
sometimes.
always. But I'm pretty comfortable in my position right now. How so I don't really have any complaints. Like I can see why they want to be in a hurry, but you know, it works out for me.
Mm.
I'm okay with it.
Nice. What's the day in the life like?
It's pretty routine. It I think compared to when I started, it would depend on what like I guess projects or contracts are happening at the moment. So right now we've mostly gone back to normal with our regular dispensing. So as I was saying, it's a lot of epinephrine and for mass dispensing purposes. Um, and most of like the typing or like the script processing is done at the flagship. S-
Mm.
Yep, so like we'll get like a list of like patients who they're like, okay, like these are ready to send out. Can you send them out? How? And that's like through email. So I'm still at a computer most of the time, but I'm also like packing and like checking like inventory and also like coordinating local delivery because I think some insurances say that things have to be hand delivered to patients. So we have our own driver who does that.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
yeah, um, I think like the most complicated part is trying to coordinate so people who live closer together have their fill times closer together because it's all across the state. So
Yeah.
then, but then that can mean like you're almost to like upstate New York or you're down by Philadelphia.
Mm.
Obviously, or we're not going to put those in the same day. Also, trying to reach patients to let them know, hey, you have like, when do you want this delivered? Because, it's a refrigerated medication. It can't sit on your porch all day.
That sounds like a fun problem to solve.
It's a lot of calling. I think the retail experience in customer service helps a lot. It's like having to follow up with people constantly. He and then when people come in with or call with requests because they're not actually coming in and
Right.
like checking their profiles, getting all the information and um but yeah, it's nice. It's there's I can be annoyed by small things because I don't have bigger problems.
Yeah, well, it's always about perspective, right?
Yeah.
Um, a king would be upset that his birthday cake isn't perfect, and a beggar would just love to have leftover cake, right?
Yeah.
Um, they're not going to care its shape or form. But you're right. It's easy to get acclimated to a new normal and get annoyed with things.
Yeah. I was like, well, that's something I can afford to be right now.
Hmm.
Whereas, like, because, you know, no one, I think my boss explained it as no one's going to die. Hi. And no one's going to act like, terrible things will happen if, you make a small mistake or if something is delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's like assuring.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Um, was working with a coach what you expected?
More or less. I mean, because as like a former athlete, I've had coaches for sports. And so I had, I think I had very realistic expectations going in about what a coach does and does not
Hmm.
do, and what I wanted from a coach. And Morgan provided all of it. So
Nice. I'll give Morgan 5 stars then. She's doing good, by the way. She sends her regards.
Okay, I'm glad.
Um, what was surprising about the process to you, if anything?
Um, okay, I think the amount of self-reflection I had to do, like the amount of introspection I had to do in the beginning, I wasn't expecting at the time.
Hmm.
Looking back, like I'm like, oh, that makes total sense as to why they want you to do that. But like in the beginning, I was just like, oh, this is a lot. I don't have time to. I don't know if I can process all of this right now. Oh, but I think that's also important. It's like you have to really like dig deep and find out like, okay, like what do you want? Or like what are you looking for? And sometimes it's okay. You can start with, oh, what do you not want? On
Yeah.
and go from there. And I think that's as important as like if you don't really know what you want, start with what are definitely deal breakers for you, and like what are things you what do you want your life to look like outside of your work? So some people want their entire life to be about work because like they want to do something that's that engaging and exciting, and some people just want to be able to go home at the end of the day and not cry.
Yeah, let's not have that. Jeez. How would you describe like career let me start over. How would you describe career coaching to someone who's never worked with a coach before?
It's like having a trail guide when you go hiking. I think that's like that's kind of the analogy I think of is just like you're going down a path that's unfamiliar to you, and you're having someone else kind of like lead the way and show you like, oh, like these are the things to avoid, or like these are like this is how you cross this section of the trail, or like that this is your trail marker. So like having someone like they can like you still have to you still have to do the hike yourself. You still have to put in the work for it, but they are there to make it less difficult. Like
Hmm,
to make so you're not like kind of like fumbling in the dark. So they're kind of showing you where the path actually is, and you can decide like where do you want to go.
hmm,
So like they're not going to hold your hand or like pull you up the mountain. Hence, like you have to put in the work for it. But, you know, they have the experience in like either the field that you're going in or the experience in trying to find a new job that or things like that that if you don't have it, it's a resource that will will just make things easier. Like sure, you will eventually find your way to the other end of whatever path you take. But, how long is it gonna take you to get there? Like, what are you gonna have to go through to get there? And would it like would it be easier if someone else, kind of showed you the way?
hmm. What would you tell someone who's considering working with a career coach?
I think the first thing I want to know is the same questions that I was asked is what are you expecting? Like realistically, what are you expecting from a coach? Because that will affect whether or not I recommend they work with one.
Hmm,
It's like the same thing as just, if you're looking for the coach's experience and like someone to like help you navigate something, then I think a coach is a great option. Like someone to hold you someone who has like no bias to hold you accountable for things. Um it's that's another reason. It's the same reason like people get like personal trainers. Is like sure like you can lose weight, you can get fit on your own, but having someone kind of like direct things or like hold you accountable or lead you through whatever pitfalls might occur makes the process less difficult than it has to be.
Hmm. Um, I may include this, I may not, but just for my own tracking purposes, do you remember when you started with Morgan?
March, I think, because I think it was 3 months consistently, so that would have been March to June.
Yep. And then you joined the mastermind after that,
Yeah, I
right?
did mastermind after that.
Got it. Well, thank you for your time, Phoebe. Thank you for the feedback and the storytelling. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Phoebe is a pleasure for me because she always tells me about the next thing that I should do. She shared off air that I should consider doing like co-working streaming. It was a blast talking with her. But I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you are considering working with a career coach to help you identify what you want to do next, we would love to be a part of that journey. You can do that simply by scheduling a call with one of our career advisors if you'd like. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn and ask me anything. I get a lot of messages and I try to answer all of them. But we would absolutely love to just help you not just get away from retail or break up with retail, because there's still great jobs in community settings. But we would love to help you get more aligned with work that matters to you and ultimately creating a work-life balance that just makes sense. There'll be a link below in the description. You can click that and talk with one of our team members to learn more about what coaching is and how it helps you, as well as learning what our program entails and how we help pharmacists make that transition. Thanks for watching this episode, and until we see you in the next one, take care.